this is Sai Kumar Kurtiwada. In this video, we will learn about React conditional statements. Actually speaking, in my previous videos, I have explained about React events and React interpolation, how exactly we can work with that interpolation and events. Here, we specially focus on the conditional statements and how to render based on the conditions, and how can we use ternary operator and how can we use AND operator in our React conditional statements. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code and I'll explain with an example. So here, let me create a variable. Let me go with a variable. Let me use const a is equal to 10 and const b equal to 20. And now I want to showcase some conditions, and based on that conditions, I want to show some data. For example, I'm trying to use a h1 tag, and we know how to use that in interpolated value, but what I want to do is I want to show a condition where if my a is greater than b, then I want to show a h1 tag, and if not, I want to show a h2 tag. And this is my interpolated value, and I'm trying to use a condition. Based on this condition, if a is greater than b, I want to use some element. So that's why I'm using a ternary operator, not within the interpolated value or not within the tag. I am using out of the tag, because for both the condition there is a different tags over there. So now I'm using a is greater than b and a is less than b. So these are the conditions. So if a is greater than b, I want to show a is greater, and if a is less than b, then I want to show b is greater. So this is my condition, and both has two different elements. So that is the reason I have separated the elements itself. So let me go here, and you can see b is greater because b value is 20. Let me go and make it as 100 and save this. Now you can see the ternary operator will work, and you can see a is the greater. So here we are using a two conditions, and the two conditions are used with a conditional statements, and it is nothing but a ternary operator. Now what I want to do is, if I have more than one line for a condition, for example, if this condition is true, and if I want to show multiple lines of code or multiple elements, then how we can you do that? Actually speaking, you have to wrap in one single element. Example, a is greater, and I want to use a span tag where I want to show something like, or let me use a smile. So now what I want to do is I want to show these two elements, and it is inside a ternary operator. So it is always recommended, whenever you want to use a ternary operator, then you can use, or you can wrap all the elements of one condition into one element. So I want to wrap this into one element. Let me wrap this into div, and let me put the div over here. So now I'm wrapping my h1 tag and span tag inside a div. So let me remove this div. Yeah. So let me format this. Now for this condition, if the condition is true, then whole this div will be rendered. If the condition is false, then this will be rendered. And here also, if we are having more than one element, for example, I have a span with the sad, and I want to show something like div and a div. Why? Because we have more than one element for a condition, and I'm closing this div. So here, if you see, again we are using two divs, and one div is managing for the true condition, and second div is used for false condition. Let me save this, go here, and it works the same way. A is greater, and it is showing a smile, and if I go with 10 and 20, then b is greater and it is showing sad. So that's how, if you want to manage more than one element, that has to be wrapped inside one particular parent element. So this is how we can use our ternary operator. For example, if you want to show only when a is greater than b, and if you don't want to show for a is less than b or equal to b, then we can just remove this and pass it as null. This is one option where you can use the ternary operator. If the condition is true, you will be passing this div. If the condition is false, we are passing null. So we can pass a null element for any of the conditional statements as well. Let me go here, and you can see there is no data over here. If you pass 100 and save this, now you can see a is greater with a smile. So null will not be visible in your DOM elements as well. Let me remove this, save this, go here, and inspect it. If you just open the body div app, and you are able to see only h1 and you are not able to see the null value, so the null value will not be visible on your DOM element. In this case, we are handling only one case. If it is true, then only we are showing. If it is false, we are not showing. In this case, it can be rewritten as this way, so by using AND operator. So how AND operator will work? If the condition is true, then it will return the next value of that AND. So the next value is equivalent to this div, so it is returning that particular div element. Let me go here and refresh again, and you can see we are able to see the data. And not only this way, even you can write some if condition. For example, you are writing inside the JSX, and if you don't want to write inside the JSX, even you can write in the starting itself. If A is greater than B, then I want to return all this, else I want to return only this. So let me remove this, and even this works for us. So let me format this, because if the condition is true, we are returning this. If condition is false, we are returning this JSX. So here what we can do is, instead of writing this condition, just we can write only the HTML content. Let me format this and save this. Go here and refresh. Now nothing is displayed over here. Save this, and we are not returning in this, so we have to return. So return and return. So here also, if you observe, we are returning only one parent element. A functional component should always return one parent element. And if you write some conditions also, it should return only one parent element. If you write a loop also, it has to return only one element. So it is always return a value with one parent element. And let me go here, and you can see React conditional statement, that is the else condition. So let me remove this, go here and just make it as 100 and save this. Go here. Now you are able to see this content. But this way of usage not always recommended. If you observe here, we are using React conditional statements, and here also we are using the React conditional statement. We are using the first div with a class name as app, and here also we are rewriting the code, and we are not reusing the code. So that's why it is not always recommended to use direct if conditions without returning an element. Instead, you can use an interpolated values or create a separate functions for this and write it accordingly. So let me go here and rewrite this code in another way with the functions. So let me revert this back, and if you see, you have this whole as a conditional statements, and hence we can write these conditional statements inside a function and call that function. So let me write a function like check and display. So I'm just using this as an arrow function, and this arrow function will check if A is greater than B, then we can pass all this div or return this div, else return null. We can even return the null value. Now in this case, I can remove all this and just call that function. And what is the function here? Check and display, and I have to call it because it is a function which has to be executed on the load of our application. So let me go here and refresh. So let me go here and make it as 100, save this, and you can see that value. And if you go and make it as 10, the condition is false and it returns null value. So that's how you can even maintain your conditions and return some set of values from your methods. And one thing we have to learn over here, the thing is, this div we are just writing to wrap the content together, but actually speaking, the div will disturb your DOM as well. So if you go and make it as 100, now you can see the content. Let me go here into this content, and this div we are using only to wrap the h1 tag and span tag, but it is an unnecessary div. Whenever you want to wrap some content and you don't want to keep any of the container elements like div, then you can use the other approach for using this. And the other approach will be the empty tags or the fragments, and we'll discuss that fragments and empty tags in our upcoming video. For now, this is about the React conditional statements. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.